Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Drishti.
So let's make people more aware about mental health.
Okay.
Something that people are not aware of. We'll make them more responsive to
Yeah.
that topic. So, ma'am, if you could please introduce yourself to the audience.
Yes. I am C. Kamala, more famous as Carcherla Kamala. I am a mathematician. I'm a teacher. Uh, I've got experience of teaching mathematics for 40 plus years. I've been in Sacred Heart Convent for 28 years of experience. Now I'm into online and offline coaching in mathematics. And I love to inspire children to love maths, the subject with the most fear. Okay. And I want to inculcate the values and the techniques as I am teaching in the methodology of mathematics. So I correlate the topics into all the topics learned. I teach them with correlation and applications to life, applications to the other subjects, and with the teaching of values which are very much important to life. Maths is life basically. It teaches the child to solve problems however difficult they are. Giving up means you're not a mathematician. So struggle till the end, fight till the end, till you reach the solution, and then you feel the joy of victory. And that's what life also teaches you. Never to stumble with obstacles, overcome them, fight them, and you come out brave and successful.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, talking about that you have so much of experience in education
Yeah,
and the academics. The most feared subject, like you said, is
mathematics.
mathematics is taught by you. So, how do you think the students have evolved in the respect to sensitivity?
Yes.
How do they respond to their teachers, to education, to situations like this?
See, as I go through the 3 decades and if I look back and I go down the memory lane, students were more focused, they had less of distraction, less exposure. So for them, two people were very important in their life, the parents and the teachers. So whatever the teacher said or whatever the parents said, and the parents and teachers used to work hand in hand, and the importance was given to the children then that whatever teacher said, you must obey. So if the child was beaten those days, I'm talking about the 70s and the 60s, the child never felt that it was something wrongdoing, or instead he used to hide it from the parents because the parents would give more scoldings saying you must have done something wrong and therefore you got the beatings. So this was a hidden thing. Okay, because and then it was accepted that the teacher is like a parent, so they can scold and hit the child. But in today's world, okay, you cannot physically abuse the child, or you cannot scold even the child. Anything strictness is not allowed, because now the importance is given to the child, right? And I do agree to some extent, due to evolution, due to changes, we do have to change. Generation after generation changes. What my grandfather did, what my parents and what I'm doing are quite different. We learn as the time evolves, right? So now the parents do take the side of the child, and the blame goes to the teacher, whether right or whether wrong. So I also do not agree that a teacher has to be physical. She can handle the child in the manner where the child will take in positively without using abusive language or without being strict or punishments. Punishment is not the solution for any kind of problem, whether it be a child, or whether it's a parent, or whether it's a situation. Punishment is not the solution. It is to handle the situation in a manner where the person, the victim, understands where he's wrong, where he's right, and that's how the respect is also built for the person who gives such a solution without even harming the child and in the other person, whoever the victim is, and therefore training his mind in a positive way. I believe to be positive in whatever situations come in your way. Okay, and even then, the parents used to even hit the child, or the teacher also used to hit the child, which was not taken as an offensive action those days. But even it could have been done without that, because teachers who really uh, uh, sort of bet we were the children who were beaten by rulers and all were objected. There were some teachers who were expelled from school also, because then also that is not the way of handling the child. But then that was not that response, and this response is totally different. Today we have to look into the child, because the child then was more innocent, less exposed. Okay, but today's child has so much of exposure, so much of technology, so much of learning. Okay, so you become the parent or the adult is treated as though he knows less. Okay, but regarding experience or values, I think adults supersede the youngsters, which they do not realize. They only realize once they become adults and they become grown up. Like today, my children say, who are now 50-year-old plus 50 plus, say, teacher, what you did was right. Then they must have not liked it at the age of 14, 13. Your sickness helped us so much it has taught us, and the values which you taught. And today it's so difficult to handle our children. Okay, so I have at times where he's wrong, where he's right, and that's how the respect is also built for the person who gives such a solution without even harming the child and in the other person, whoever the victim is, and therefore training his mind in a positive way. I believe to be positive in whatever situations come in your way. Okay, and even then, the parents used to even hit the child, or the teacher also used to hit the child, which was not taken as an offensive action those days. But even it could have been done without that, because teachers who really uh, uh, sort of bet we were the children who were beaten by rulers and all were objected. There were some teachers who were expelled from school also, because then also that is not the way of handling the child. But then that was not that response, and this response is totally different. Today we have to look into the child, because the child then was more innocent, less exposed. Okay, but today's child has so much of exposure, so much of technology, so much of learning. Okay, so you become the parent or the adult is treated as though he knows less. Okay, but regarding experience or values, I think adults supersede the youngsters, which they do not realize. They only realize once they become adults and they become grown up. Like today, my children say, who are now 50-year-old plus 50 plus, say, teacher, what you did was right. Then they must have not liked it at the age of 14, 13. Your sickness helped us so much it has taught us, and the values which you taught. And today it's so difficult to handle our children. Okay, so I have that's all. Okay,
Ma'am, coming to mental health, so
yes.
how has mental health, impacted, or how is education being impacted by mental health? Is it becoming positive? Is it becoming more negative? The pressure.
See, as time goes by, situations are different. So mentally, if you talk of mental strength, that was I as a person, as an experienced person, I believe that the mental strength was much more in our times. Okay, because we learn to struggle, we learn to get something, unless we were did something good, like the books we got only one or two textbooks. We knew that we knew the value of money. Okay, so whatever we situations we had, whether it's coming from a low strata or the upper strata, all of them had acquired things, with difficulty. So the value of money was much more. So if I did not get something which I liked, I did not, it did not sentimentally, it did not affect me emotionally. I understood the situation that my parents cannot do this. So I think I was mentally strong, and moreover, in dealing with some studies, okay, if I did not do well, I used to fight for it. And those days, tuitions were not the solution. We never had anything called tuitions or coachings. So if we did not understand, we fought for it. We tried to struggle it to learn. There was, in spite of very few people there to help us, and then friends were our teachers, so we learned it that way. And even situations, even something we learned, we lived in a joint family, so we knew what hardships were, what problems were, how to tackle situations. So I think we were mentally strong. If I compare the present generation overall, be it school or be it outside, being in a nuclear families, in a smaller family, only parents or the children, okay, hardly we see joint families. There are some in remote places, but we see a in majority. In the higher strata group, we see very nuclear families. So the child does not interact with all age groups, okay, or grandparents or great grandparents. I had experience of like great grandparents, parents, grandparents, cousins, everybody. So we lived with different kind of mental, upbringings, or different kind of people. So we learned a lot, and then we learned how to withstand, how to overcome, how to tolerate. And because of being with few, the child is exposed to technology more than human beings. Okay, all the gadgets he has to play, right? All playing mind games, no physical, activities. So he is exposed less. I don't blame the child. I told you, from time to time, time changes. Now technology overpowers man's mind, right? So therefore, everything is technology. Everything is Google. The teachers or the parents are secondary now. Primary is what technology says, we believe that. So the child is overexposed. So the kind of response now the child gives, so mental setup, okay, is the strength, if I talk of the strength, has declined. The child gives up fast. Like in mathematics, he has a problem, he has so many ways of getting it solved: teacher, parents, grandparents, or tuition teacher. Okay, so he does not give himself time to think, to fight, and to think of the problem or the determination that I have to solve it, because maths needs determination, right? Similarly, maths means a problem. Problem means life. So it is related that way. So you're giving up problems. You're giving or handing over problems to the parents. I cannot handle this. So now the child cannot handle problems. Just as the child cannot handle a maths problem. So, but now the physical or the punishments are not solutions. The parent has to be more, of course, the parents are more learned now, more educated than our parents those days. So they know how to tackle, but their experience of to tackle such kind of children, because they were not brought up that way, and their mindset is not that way. I'm talking of 10 years back. So it becomes difficult to handle.
So, ma'am, you just told us that parents, grandparents, you were talking about them, and so we want to know, how does parenting or a role of parent impact the mental health of a child or their education?
If I compare with the parents of those days, right, it was an easy job for them. The most of the mothers were housewives. They had ample time for their children, and the children had school and home, nothing much, or maybe a radio or a TV, right? And so parenting was an easy job, because a one-way process it was. Mother said, parents said, child listened, and whatever papa said or grandpapa said, that was final. Sometimes in some homes, like in my home or something, if grandfather said something, father said, grandfather said this, so you have to listen. So it was not a confusion. I have to listen to elderly people, right? I have my heart out for all my students or my parents of today, this generation, because it is becoming difficult for them to handle children now. Okay, Even my students who are now about 40 plus, 50 plus, they find it very difficult. Sometimes they're confused how to identify the child. And the child is so intelligent, much, much intelligent than what we were, because of the situations or because of the kind of environment he's put into, or the kind of technology he uses, or the exposure he's given, the freedom he's given. For us, freedom was least if I compare to the freedom today. Even for going for a school picnic or going with friends out, it was a big, 5 days plan for us to ask the parents for permission. But today, the child does not have to ask permission. He knows mother has to send. And mother does send. But she wants, other than studies, the child also has to be in other activities. Okay, but it's difficult for the parent today because of the exposure. Less importance is given to the verdict or the anything spoken to the. Of course, grandparents are nowhere to be seen now. It's parents. Okay, even if grandparents are there, if parents are not being obeyed by children, obey in the sense, I do not blame the children. The kind of situation they are in, or the kind of upbringing they bought, everything is ready-made, everything is easily given. So the value of money is not there. Moreover, the values are not instilled either in school these days because of the hectic curriculum and the schedule and the kind of work the management gives the teachers. So where does the teacher has the time to give one-to-one attention to the child? And the thing has become now competition, marks, and going high ranks in in future for jobs. This has become a materialistic world, more of materialistic world than more of emotional world. The emotions are being killed by technology or by the kind of competition is being. So the parents are more involved in competition, other than of course the people who are below average. So for below average, they're just left to the tuition teachers, do whatever you want. Even in as in life situations also, in at home also, hardly both parents are working. So either they're left in the hands of the servant or maybe grandparents. So they're more to freedom, they're more to gadgets, and they're allowed to use mobile phone, internet. So a lot of learning, and sometimes because the adults are not there, they are misguided by some misinformation in the mobile or in the technology. So it is the situation the child is. So how much can the child parent control? Will he look into his corporate world or the school? If it's teacher, the school management, whom does the parent satisfy? So it is very difficult to blame one person parents because parents have no time. Even if the parents who have time, okay, most of them are also the mothers or the parent at home is more involved in mobiles and talking to people. Those days there was no contact. We had only letters and envelopes and envelopes to write. Okay, so but here I can talk any moment I want. I can put curry on the kadai on the stove, may it burn or not burn, but I'm busy talking and chatting with my friends. Okay, so the attention given is less nowadays. Comforts given are much more than what we had those days. So the child, anybody likes a comfortable life. The child will naturally get attracted to gadgets and games. So it is up to the child. It is difficult, but still the parent has to make it a point to take out time and sit with the child and counsel the child. Because what happens now is if the parent is strict, then what happens? The emotional blackmail starts from the child. I will do this. I will not eat. I will go away from the house. I will kill myself. I know of two, three students here. Just because the parents said not to watch TV because it was exam time, the child committed suicide. And you know which class the child is in? He was in seventh class. From third floor, he jumped. So these kind of stories scare the parents now. So they easily give in to the child's mind, child's demands. So, but then always there is a solution. A child doesn't know, so it is up to the adults or the parents or the grandparents, to adapt to the situation, to understand, and they have to mold themselves, not the youngsters. For example, me. When ex-students come and sit, I can't believe teacher you are teaching in this way, so lenient or giving them 10 sums and only if you want to do, you do, you don't want to do, what kind of solution you are giving to them? You know, you were never like this, you must have given us 40, 50 sums and we should do it. So I said, I have to change with my child, then only he will start liking maths. First, he has to like me, and then he has to like the subject, and then only he will do well. I have to like something, I have to love something, irrespective how dry it is, how boring it is, then only I can, learn about it. Same thing as with maths. Okay, so but here I can talk any moment I want. I can put curry on the kadai on the stove, may it burn or not burn, but I'm busy talking and chatting with my friends. Okay, so the attention given is less nowadays. Comforts given are much more than what we had those days. So the child, anybody likes a comfortable life. The child will naturally get attracted to gadgets and games. So it is up to the child. It is difficult, but still the parent has to make it a point to take out time and sit with the child and counsel the child. Because what happens now is if the parent is strict, then what happens? The emotional blackmail starts from the child. I will do this. I will not eat. I will go away from the house. I will kill myself. I know of 2 3 students here, just because the parents said not to watch TV because it was exam time, the child committed suicide. And you know which class the child is in? He was in 7th class. From third floor he jumped. So these kind of stories scare the parents now, so they easily give in to the child's mind, child's demands. So but then always there is a solution. A child doesn't know, so it is up to the adults or the parents or the grandparents, to adapt to the situation, to understand, and they have to mold themselves, not the youngsters. For example, me, when ex-students come and sit, I can't believe teacher you are teaching in this way, so lenient or giving them 10 sums and only if you want to do, you do, you don't want to do, what kind of solution you are giving to them? You know, you were never like this, you must have given us 40, 50 sums and we should do it. So I said, I have to change with my child, then only he will start liking maths. First, he has to like me, and then he has to like the subject, and then only he will do well. I have to like something, I have to love something, irrespective how dry it is, how boring it is, then only I can, learn about it. Same thing as with maths, in life also. I cannot run away from, teacher, this is tough, I can't do. I said, life itself is tough. Beta, kahan se bhagoge? Kidhar bhagoge? Okay, I cannot do math. I'm going to leave maths. If they say, I said, what are you going to leave in life? Tomorrow a child will worry you. Leave your child. Tomorrow a parent will worry you. Leave your parent. Tomorrow a boss will worry you. Will you leave this company? So what is it? Do not leave anything. Handle with care. Handle with interest, and fight it out. Initially it is tough. Initially child's fine. I always relate. Whenever I teach math, I relate that problem solution to a problem solution in life. So that is why they say teach us certain values you've taught, which we remember that, in spite of teaching maths. So yesterday only thought it's very tough. I said, your mother is living a tough life. She is a single mother. She's handling you. She's doing so much of tough work. So toughness you will know only after you go out of your home. This is nothing. You have to study. You can watch TV. You can watch games. You just have to study. You have nothing, no other responsibility. So it is also the teacher's duty, especially I think nowadays the coaching teachers have more time to give to children than the teachers in school, because I don't blame them. They have lots to do, and different kinds of species to handle. For us, all children of the same type. Okay, we only saw the average in study, not as behavior wise. They were my wonderful students. I didn't have any problem behavior wise because they only saw home and school. So no much distraction. And today the child has so many places to go: home, school, friends, parties, okay, dance parties, and that birthday parties. So there's too many activities, too many people. Children just leave school. Even parents, they absent from them from school, and then we will go for marriages of the cousins or brothers or whatever. But the attendance in school is not important these days. Our days, I don't even remember attending any of my cousins or uncles' weddings because it was school. I myself to say I will not miss school because for us, school was the playground. School was the other place of entertainment. But now leaving school and home, there's so many, you know, places for entertainment. The child is totally confused, totally distracted, totally in a confused world. He has so much options, so he doesn't know what to choose. So I think parents have to give some time to counsel the children better and not always be with them and say they are right. Okay, they have to somehow explain to them, the difficult situation. Sometimes, some if I teach some child, the parent says, teacher, don't give so much homework. So for me, that so much has become, I don't know what the so much means now. For me, so much homework then, 40 years back, was about 50 sums, and now so much is only 10 sums. So this how time has changed. But I think as teachers, as parents and adults, I think it is we who have to mold ourselves as per situation, as per the child, as for the mind, and then only I think problems at home will be solved if I solve the problem of my own child. You know. So I think everything is not that easy. It's very easy to say, but I myself handle things with the children now that I try to, I have changed a lot. I have changed a lot in this past in the 4 decades. I know it myself. Okay, like just like my treatment to my grandson is different from what I would treated my daughter. Ma, you are never like this. You are so strict. I said, no, it's not grandson. It is the generation. So if I and I my teaching, like people teach about 40, 50 in a coaching class, I don't understand because each child is of different mentality. What is the child learning? When I
So, ma'am, like you mentioned it earlier, and you pointed this out that education has also changed the role of parents, like you explained. So, what is the role of an educator, if we say the role of an educator, the role of a teacher? How can a teacher, an educator, help the students with positive mental health?
first thing I always as a teacher feel, and I think a teacher is a parent. So putting the parent in you is the kind of treatment you have to give the child. But little bit added, spice like strictness or the timely work to be done. And what did you say? Stop it.
So, ma'am, like you mentioned earlier, the role of parents, and you said the education part is also evolved, the distractions have increased. So, what is the role of an educator? How can the educator influence or shape the child to, something positive?
Yes. First of all, you said something positive. So always the attitude should be a positive for the educator. Even he himself or she herself should be positive in attitude in her own life situations. What be it bad or good, the attitude be positive. This happened, it's something for the good. Same positive characteristics has to be, that characteristic has to be instilled in the child. The child should never say, no, I cannot do it. You should always instill positive attributes or qualities in the child, okay, so that he never gives up and he keeps working. Now, in this present situation, I think more less of criticism and more of your sort of encouragement for whatever you do. A very good a tap on the, just a your hand on his back, a hand on his head plays a magical role in upbringing the child, especially in case of education. I'll give you an example. It's not a case of people think it's strict, but many children are molded. I think they have a special respect for me in that case for the kind of problems they had and I have solved them. Like I was a ninth standard teacher, okay, and those days when plus two came, then eighth standard, I was not teaching the eighth standard. From the eighth standard, ninth standard, there were three maths teachers, and So when the register was seen for entry of who is the maths teacher of the particular section, see Kamala, oh God, she's very strict. But one child, as soon as the first day of the class, I see one child standing outside the class with a book in her hand. And I will tell her name. She's Aditi. Okay. And teacher, I want to, teacher, at first day I'm meeting her in ninth class. Who are you? Teacher, I'm Aditi. Okay. Teacher, I heard a lot about you, but see, I wrote a poem for you. It's a maths class, and she's showing me a poem. I wrote a poem. I read the poem. I said, fantastic. Very good. It's a nice poem written. Have you written? She said, yes, teacher, I have written. I said, you're so creative. A poet is very creative in mind and thoughts. So definitely you'll be very good in maths. Maths may have to be creative. She started crying. The girl started crying. She said, the first teacher who said, teacher, that I can do maths, actually I'm very weak in maths. So she said, I don't need your weakness, I don't need your comments. You sit in my class and you just see. See, first term you're going to pass. Don't worry. That is the will in your mind, the determination, the thought, the positive thought that I can do. Don't put in negative thought. Okay, that negativity, that you're getting aversion, you're getting away from it, is not is has created fear, that has created fear in the child, or sometimes even the teachers have created fear. Maybe I have also created fear in some of the children for not knowing maybe some of my ways with the child, because again I told you, teachers have no time to deal with its child individually. So I think children should forgive me for that. But when I see it in my individual, when I teach uh, each person individually, I come to know of the mindset. And seeing so many, being an experienced mother, a wife, daughter-in-law, I have learned a lot how to handle situation. That's what I try to teach children, that to handle things with bravery, and not move away. So this child cried and she said, all teachers told me, all my maths teachers told me, you're good for nothing, you cannot do maths. I think this is a wrong statement given by any teacher in any subject. Nobody is good for nothing. Each one has come into this world with some kind of talent, with some kind of potentials in them. It's not that everybody likes everything. Whatever I like, you may not like it. They have a child is never weak. A parent comes for tuition for coaching. Teacher, my child is very weak. You have to train her. Or she comes with two children. This is very good. This child is good. I said, don't compare and don't tell initially before I teach the child is weak. Okay, that is a wrong thing for a parent or a teacher to say. And you won't believe this child got in the first test, she got a 42. She said, first time I've passed, teacher. I think not my teaching has helped her. That first introduction, the meeting of mine, and the encouraging words which I spoke to her has affected her mind. So somehow, these things, that is the key to open to the door of that closed mind of the child. And then I learn. A mother comes and tells in the PT meeting, teacher, nobody, you only have noticed that my child sleeps in class. She dozes off, and that's the time she misses the class. And she has this problem. She has epilepsy problem. I said, I knew that. And you're the only teacher who called me and said, what's the problem with the child? She sleeps in the class, and that is the time she's losing attention. So each one has a problem. So, of course, our teachers on the whole in school, we cannot handle every child in this way. It's so impossible to do. It's becoming parent to handle two children in the house only difficult. So how can you blame a teacher handling 50 students, 60 students in the class? But whenever we have the chance to deal with somebody personal, you know, it's if you just create a small spark in that person, I think it is long living and it is very encouraging. And that is what a positive attitude, or that magical words are sometimes there which we miss to convey to the other person, and that's what we need to do.
Ma'am,
तुमको tears आ गया क्या?
ma'am, with so much of experience that you hold in parenting, in teaching, in life. So with that. that we wanted to know some strategies, some solutions to be more positive in life and to how to manage stress. That is something very good.
See, life is stressful. Otherwise, life has no meaning. Nobody lives a smooth life. 4 days, your happiness is there, and then one fine day, next second, you may be unhappy. But all situations, the most important thing is your mind. Your mental strength has to be very strong. If you're not, you have to somehow you have to be mentally strong to handle the situation. Be positive in the attitude. However bad it is, take it as a positive attitude. Okay? And then to create, suppose it's a stress which I'm not mentally strong, I'm not emotionally strong. Divert your mind to activities which you love. Divert for some time. Okay, if you're a good painter or you're a good reader or even watching TV, divert completely from that situation as though you're not there. Okay, we cannot keep on, don't make your mind keep on thinking of that and brooding over that, crying over that. So at some point of time, we have to give up and calm yourself, cool yourself, and be strong about it. Okay, this can happen to anybody. And think of today I am brooding of something which has happened at home. Okay, but then I see in the news of 12th June the tragedy. So many families died. Nobody, it is destiny. That's what the fate was. It was nobody's fault. So that is much, much bigger than you sitting and brooding over a thing which was very trivial compared to that. Okay, whenever each man, you'll see many people are not satisfied in life. But I feel satisfaction, one is not satisfied if you compare yourself with somebody above you. Intelligence, property, status, okay, happiness. But that will always give you discontentment. But compare yourself with people who are much lower than you, poor, suffering, worry, unhappiness, do not have anything. And then say, you will see, thank God, and say, God, you give me so much. Thank you so much. I think that will create no stress. Please compare with people who are less privileged than you, and you will see how happy you are. Okay. Then come over it, all of these things. If you don't have, suppose, any talent, like, divert yourself, go somewhere, go out. At home, you're not peaceful, something is worrying you. Give time for yourself also. I know this giving time for yourself depends on where you are, a young parent, an old parent, or middle aged parent. But I think everybody needs time for herself, for himself, a space for himself, a space in the world. I'm talking of the adults, stress in adults. Stress in the youngsters, who reduces that? The adults around them, the people around them. Okay, so let them divert from that situation which makes them stressful. Don't keep on saying, like a child, I cannot study, I don't want to study, it's not going to my head. Okay, relax him, divert his mind to something else. Okay, tell him to do. So he forgets that situation and slowly bring him back to that situation, not telling you have to study, you have to do it. Keep forcing him and lock him in a room and say, I cannot do, that person is doing very well, this person is doing very well, I'm ashamed of you. These kind of words, of insult should be never spoken to them. I must have done it when I was a little younger because that time I did not know. But what teaches you to live life? The experience. The experience, the self, your own experience, your self realization, your interaction with people. I think I'm the lucky one to interact with so many around me. I've interacted with young minds, my students. I've interacted with my own children, my blood. I interacted with a man who was a stranger to me, my husband. Okay. Then after leaving my parents, he was a stranger to me. I interacted with my parents, my relatives. So a big family, joint family on either side of me and myself and my husband. Okay, my maternal, my paternal, and I think that has taught me a lot. I think, and moreover, the teaching of 40 plus years with young minds of different kinds, coming from different strata, from, you know, different levels of intelligence. I think I'm rich in knowledge and experience.
Ma'am, thank you so much for your time, your kind words, and your guidance.
Thank you so
That
much,
will
Rishi.
certainly help. And before seeing off, I would just request you to say one line that we carry with ourselves uh, for all of us.
Live, let live, give, never take, never say no to any problem. That's what I can tell you in few words. Thank you, Drishti. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.